Hello. It got stuck, I think. Something happened. I got logged out, or you got logged out. I couldn't make out. Something went wrong. I'm not sure what. Sorry about that. I was just going to start reading all the names, and it just got stuck. Hi Shraddha. Hi Kamester. Hi Neelam Rajawat. Hi Benita, Shamika, Bauri, Yashna. Hi sweetheart. Vandana, change the energy. Hello. Chavriya Raj, Chaya Gangar. Hi sweetheart. Poonam, Ritika Oberoi, VC Jyoti. Hello. Shamika. Hello. Kavita Pramod. Hello. I'm not sure what happened. It just got stuck and my hand was like that and it got stuck and I was like, what's happening? Why is it stuck? But it doesn't matter. We're right back and it doesn't matter, right? All right, let's see what questions we're getting. Jasmine Nanavati. My total emotional well-being depends on my 25-year-old daughter. She has chosen a guy in the US to marry. How do I deal with my anxiety? Jasmine, you want to be supremely careful of the choice of words you are making. Okay, when you say my total emotional well-being depends on my 25-year-old, don't say that, my sweetheart, because you know what? Children have their own destiny and we must allow them to live theirs while we live ours. When we start to have all of our happiness and our sadness and our everything dependent on them, then we don't let them live their lives because it's all the time about how we will feel about them. So very careful about the choice of words. I always say this, I love my children and I don't think any parent can ever be happier than their saddest child. So there's no doubt about it that yes, we are deeply connected, but learning to live our own lives is something we must look at and master. Total emotional well-being, not a good idea. Now, when you say she has chosen a guy in the US to marry, how do I deal with my anxiety? It all depends on the kind of guy she has chosen. So if he's a good guy and you feel like, wow, this is going to be good for her, then your anxiety is only personally for yourself. Her going away, how will you manage? You know, it's a very different anxiety versus is your anxiety for her. Like maybe you don't like the guy so much or maybe you don't think they are the right pair. So I'm not sure in which angle are you having the anxiety. But if it is for yourself, which means you're just anxious because you're so emotionally dependent on your daughter, then this is her time to fly. And it's your time to find a life beyond her. She's 25, she's an adult. You need to find a life beyond her so that she can find a life beyond you. If your anxiety is coming from whether this marriage will work out or not, or if the guy is good or not, then yes, doing your research and finding out and speaking to her about it and communicating it, all of that is absolutely essential. I'm not able to pick up from where your anxiety comes, my darling. All right, Coach Nidhi saying, my lovely Pooja, hello. Prasanna, hello. Chavriya, hello. Meghna Mehra, hello. Fernandez Sylvie, sorry. Yeah, suddenly it went off, I know. I and Jabin. Hello, ma'am. How are you? My question is how to make kids to learn. I'm going to guess it's written lean, but I'm guessing it's learn. I think as much fun as you can make it, that's, you know, at one point, the parents started to believe that the children's marks are our marks. And I think that's the biggest mistake we made as parents, especially in the generation right above. So I want you to start to look at, you know what, making it fun for your kids. There are lots of these days books, you know, photo cards, lot of various different technologies and techniques have come in to make the child have fun. I have a friend called Siddharth. He is homeschooling his son and he's joined White Magic Rabbit, and I don't know, it's a Byju's link, and I was watching that. I was like, wow, this is fabulous. So the world is really progressing in terms of learning with a lot of fun. I would just highly recommend that you also look at how can you make learning more fun. That era is over where education meant lectures and boring and just like, I think today when you bring in your passion, the reason why our generation especially speaks a lot about how to find our passion, because we actually allowed to lose it. I think this coming generation, they are following their passion from day one, and children are never confused about passion. This is only when we turn adult where we have lost it that we have to find it. And I think it's so important now that we allow our children to discover, explore all of those things from a very young age, rather than forcing them on topics and subjects that are of no interest to them. So I literally would tell my children at some point that choose the 2 subjects out of the 10 that you absolutely love, excel in those, and then in the rest of the grades you can get whatever, in the rest of the subjects get whatever grades you want, because I don't want you to lose yourself in the process of doing topics and subjects that are of no interest to you. I think it's damaging rather than progressive. Nivi Moodley, hi Pooja, last 2 days I've continuously been listening to you. Oh, so sweet. Madhu, oh Pooja, after 2 weeks. Yes, I know, last week was just not possible. Rajshri, joining you after such a long time. Happy to have you here, Rajshri, after such a long time. Billionaire Babe, I'm in the first trimester, but I have anxiety about medicines. What should I do? When you say first trimester, I'm going to think that you're expecting, and if that's the truth, then yes, there are some medicines that should be had. I've had my children 18 and 21 years ago, so it must have been different then. But I remember folic and iron and magnesium and all of those things were quite important. Folic and iron, though, I'm quite sure were quite important. But I think being paranoid around medicines is totally okay. Just look at your vitamins. Some of these vitamins are absolutely essential, and these days our food does not provide us with the vitamins that are required. So doctors know what they need to do. Go to a doctor you can trust and then follow whatever they have to say. I'm not really the right person to be answering this question at all. Happy Soul 123, ma'am, I was manifesting a job and even received the signs. I got an offer for an exact same job, but last moment they took away the offer. Why did this happen? I'm very depressed. This makes me feel low. So Happy Soul 123, one of the things I want you to know is that anytime in life you're manifesting something and it gets taken away, I want you to shift your thought for God has something better to offer. Okay, now I want you to focus here and listen to me very carefully, because what I'm going to say is going to be normally what is the opposite we do. Okay, so sometimes something is coming right into your life and you almost have materialized it. Last minute, what God does is He tests you. Do you even deserve this? And you know how He tests you? By taking it away. Now, if you get depressed, if you get sad, if you give up, if your faith and surrender was only that much, if your skill of manifestation was only throwing a tantrum with God that you have to give it to me, only then I will believe in manifestation, then you're not a real manifester, my darling. If you want to become a real manifester, when everything around you goes low, you go high. Which means you tell your God that, you know what, I'm sure you have planned something better. I'm sure something better is coming. And you keep that faith, you keep that belief, and watch everything around you become fine again. Not only you may get that job back, I have seen when I made people do this, their blood report would have come with something that they didn't want. And the next day, the wherever they've got the blood report from, that particular place, will be messaging, we are so sorry, there's a mistake. And they'll be like, Pooja, how? I'm like, you just keep your faith. Don't lose it. God tests you always. The closer you are to your manifestation, the more testing time will come. And when He tests you, if you lose it and you go into depression, sadness, then you were never a manifester. You were a explorer, curious person who was saying, does this even work? Let's see. Because true manifestors know that it's only a matter of time. What you want gets decided by you. When you get it, gets decided by God. That is a true manifestor motto. So see if you can change your energy, because can I tell you, you move out of your depression, you move out of this low phase that you're allowing yourself to be in, you will be able to manifest things that you had never dreamt of. What is a job? Nothing. So I want to encourage every single one of you here. Michelle Obama says this so beautiful, when they go low, I go high. Whenever in life your situation, your circumstances go low and you can hold yourself higher, It's the hardest thing to do. There's no doubt about it. Which is why manifestation is not for the ordinary. Manifestation is only for extraordinary people, because it's so hard to be positive in an environment that's completely negative. But you master that and your environment will actually turn positive, or at least good news will start to walk in. So this is something I would love for, don't believe me, I would love for each one of you here to go and actually do it and see what happens in your life. Come back and tell me the magic or the miracles. Okay. Oops, I think I've missed all the questions. It's gone off up. Okay, for all of you who want me to speak in Hindi, actually, you know, यहाँ पे इतने सारे लोग आते हैं जिनको सिर्फ इंग्लिश आती है, तो इसलिए मैं सादा इंग्लिश में ही बात करती हूँ. But I would love to do one Insta Live in Hindi. Maybe I'll plan one of the weeks to do a full Insta Live only in Hindi. Tina Taneja, I'm really low in life. I just lost my sister. Finances are bad. My business is not doing well. Doing affirmations, vision board, not thinking anything negative. What do I do to make my life sparkle? So Tina, it's not about really, you know, when you say that I'm not thinking anything negative, but you're feeling low in life. You've lost your sister. Your finances are bad and your business is not doing well. This is your truth. Okay, and because this is your truth, energetically you're living it whether you know it or not. So maybe the affirmations and the vision board are not really going down in, it's only becoming superficial. So genuinely, Tina, tell me in the chat box, what are the 5 things you're supremely grateful for? Every single day, start to do deep gratitude till you get into it energetically. Right now, from your sentences, I can tell you, even though you're feeling you're being positive, you're not. Okay, I want you to move. There's a different conversation we have when we are positive, and it doesn't sound anything like this. So I need you to move into that energy, and for that you need to do gratitude at least 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 every day for the next 30 days. Next 30 days, do so much gratitude that your entire mindset starts to look at what is so amazing about your life. Now I can see not much is amazing about your life right now, but I'd like you to explore till you can find something. Make sense? Devika, ma'am, I have a deep fear of facing the interview panel that what did I do in the past few years, as I didn't accomplish anything post my first failure in the UPSC exam. So Devika, what I'd love for you to look at is that if you were on a sabbatical, then you must tell them that I was on a break or on a sabbatical. If you haven't achieved anything in the last few years, going from failure to failure is also success, my sweetheart. A lot of us think that we have to go from success to success. Not true. The fact that you have learned one more lesson, it's all taking you towards the right place or your right destination. So don't get disappointed at all. Start to look at what was your start to do victory log every day, which means 3 things that you have achieved in the day that you are proud of. These could be very small things like making tea, making my bed, and playing with my son. It could be as simple as that, but I'd love for you to start to keep a victory log and every day notice what is it that you are doing. Because you know, right now your energy is of failure. You want to move it to of achievement and results. Komal Fly, ma'am, many a times I tried to tag you on my Instagram story but couldn't, don't know what's wrong with it. Komal, this happens to so many of you where you keep sending me messages of how you're posting it in your story but it's not showing up for me. Unfortunately, it could be any sort of settings. I totally understand that, you know, you're trying, and continue please trying, because till I'm not able to, I won't be able to help you. Hai na? Ashwita, hi Pooja, between partners in relationship, if there is a difference in opinion, I was eating pan and I can see some, sorry. Hi Pooja, between partners in relationship, if there is a difference in opinion and if one feels right and the other feels wrong, in that case, if the argument happens or fight happens, how to manage it? See, honestly, when there is a difference of opinion is one thing. When one feels wrong and one feels right, that is a judgment. So my suggestion is that see if you can start to respect the difference. If he's feeling like that or you're feeling like that, what is your communication style? Because the minute we make the other person feel wrong, then instead of the conversation, the focus shifts to becoming defensive. And defensive is not the right place for a conflict to get solved. So what I'd love for you to do is sit down and go, okay, in my view, this is what I feel. In your view, this is what you feel. In this topic belongs more to whom? For example, in my house, I always tell Puneet, see if you can prioritize me because this topic belongs more to me. Let's say it's children, then, if it is children and their career, more he decides. If it's children and emotions, more I decide. So like that, if you can divide some of the topics, so the person whose topic it belongs to, that person gets to decide. Unless someone is completely wrong, and if someone is completely wrong, then it's your job to sit them down and show them what it is that they feel or you feel that they could be doing wrong. And sometimes, I just allow the other person to be wrong. And I sometimes want him to allow me to be wrong. The other day, Puneet and I were having this conversation where I wanted to spend some money on something that he didn't think was worth it. And I said, you know what, that's okay. I understand it's not worth it, but I still want it. It was something that I wanted for my children and I was very keen that I get them that. And, so it was a conversation where I agreed that I could be wrong, yet I choose to want it. That way it helped us solve or come to a solution, because he said, okay, if you agree with what I'm thinking and still you're choosing it, then it's a choice you're making. And I said, you know what, Puneet, I'm willing to work doubly hard to make sure that I can give this to them. It wasn't a big thing actually, and yet it became a topic of conversation because we did have conflict over it. So again, what is it that we are actually respecting one another, where we are communicating, right? And we are not communicating opposite one another. We are communicating together to find a solution. So if you can change your energy to, instead of, we'll end up in conflict, start to say sentences like, you always do this, you never understand. Now we've made them opposite us. Instead, if you can go, like when I will be speaking to Puneet over something that I'm like, look, I'm feeling a little confused about this topic. I know what I want to do, but I'm not sure if it's completely justified. Yet I'd like your opinion, but I would like to do my own thing. So help me here. I'm getting him onto my side. That way the conversation is so much more superior. So just learning the art of communicating is an art by itself, है ना? So I'd love for you to start to look at, okay, he's wrong. If I tell him he's wrong, he's never going to agree or he's never going to listen. So what's the best way I can communicate this? Sometimes instead of saying you're wrong, I say, you know what, this is hurting me. And I make something emotional, because when you go into the world with emotions rather than attack, I can tell you a lot more conversation can happen around emotions rather than through attack. Attack blocks people's minds. Emotions opens people's minds. So see how you can work with all of this. Yeah, I know I've not given you a clear-cut answer, but I'm giving you many routes to take, because when you're dealing with people, especially in conflict, there is no one right answer. There is always, okay, this is working, or this is working, or this is working, and all of that. Yeah. Intuitive living. Pooja, I saw you in my dreams this morning. Oh, that's so sweet. God bless you. Simran Keer, I am in college and all my friends are doing something or the other. They have clarity about what they want to do in life, but I am still confused. So what should I do to make up my mind? Simran, you know what? The first thing I want you to do is don't compare. I always say this, that a doggy has his babies in 3 months and an elephant has his baby in 18 months, correct? And if the elephant after 3 months starts to panic that, oh my God, the doggy is having baby in 3 months, mine is not coming out, I'm not too sure, what if I'm not even pregnant, and a lot of times we do this to ourselves. Simran, whatever it is, flow like a river. Okay, explore. Stop using the word confused, completely confused. When we use the word confused, we actually block our mind from thinking. When we say I'm exploring, most of us have 1, 2, maximum 3 options. Nobody has more than 3 options. So if those are your 3 options and you go exploring each one, then you will start to get clarity and one of them will start to emerge. The thing is to engage with your passions, to engage with those options. We, instead of engaging, want to sit on a sofa and make the right decision and only then decide whether this is right or not. See, if you had to, let's say, marry someone, right? If you had to marry someone, would you just say, I'm going to sit on the sofa, keep looking at his photograph, and out of the 3 photographs, the one that speaks to me, I'll marry? What will you do? You will go and engage with all 3 and see. When I say engage means go on a date, go for coffee, and then you will start to see that, okay, these 2 I really like, this one's energy I didn't like. Out of these 2, one is more educated, but one lives in the city that I want to live in. Now, which one is more important to me? And like that, as you keep exploring, eventually you will decide to marry one of them, correct? Same you have to do with your passions. You have to look at all your options and then start looking at which one, and the one you engage with, the one where you have maximum opportunities or resources will start to jump out at you. And one thing I'll tell you, just like the way you will marry the man and think maybe the other one would have been better a month from that point, the same is going to happen to you in your passion also. When you will choose your passion, a month later, you may just feel the other one would have just been better. And that's with almost everything, because our mind just likes to play these games with us. Just know that. Just know this about yourself, that you know what? It's never going to be that you're going to be 100% sure about anything. Life doesn't come with guarantees. We have to take risks. So risk-taking appetite is so essential in all of us human beings, which right now, thanks to our education system, has become zero, because everything we want certainty in. If we don't have certainty, we don't want to go forward only. We don't want to make any mistakes. We don't want any failures. That's not how life works, my darling. So I really hope and encourage you to start to explore. All right, looks like it's going up, up, up. Ankita Setia, there is a lot of frustration building up inside me due to some or the other reason. How can I overcome it? Ankita, I'd love for you to make a list of all the reasons of what the frustrations are and look at what are the things God can control and what are the things you can control. A lot of times we get frustrated because we start to want to control what is not in our control. Letting that go is one of the most intelligent thing to do. So let's say you're getting frustrated because the world is not opening up because of COVID. You have no control over this. Getting frustrated is not going to serve you, correct? But let's say you're getting frustrated because you are gaining weight for all the food that you're eating. Now, this is very much in your control. From tomorrow morning, you can have 3 new habits which can help you and protect you from this, right? So firstly, I want you to identify, is the frustration around things you can control or is it around things God has control over? Now, if you decide to see that the frustration is around things that you can control, then I'd love for you to make a list of everything that you're willing to do to put in the hard work to make sure this doesn't remain a frustration. If it is something that is God's, then learning to pray better, learning to have more faith and surrender will really help you. So identifying the frustration, doing what you need to will remove the frustration. Just going on looking at the frustration and saying I'm feeling frustrated looking at this, it's not going to help. Yeah, hope that helps. Ashia Sajil, my husband has difficulty to accept the fact that I am different and feels like disrespect when I'm not in line with what he wants. For example, like he prefers me wearing a sari, which I'm just not comfortable. So Ashia Sajil, Aisha, I'm not able to understand what your spellings are, but anyway, Joyce. Sweetheart, a lot of times as couples, one of the biggest mistakes we are making is we are wanting to make the other person into a person we like rather than accepting the person for who they are. And currently, that's exactly what your spouse is doing. So maybe you can sit down with him and discuss what is negotiable, what is non-negotiable. There are things that are very important to him. Maybe sari is one of them. I have no idea. There are things that are not that important to him. Now, there are things that are important to you, things that are not so important to you. If you can discuss your non-negotiables and say, okay, these are the 3 things I expect from you. These are the 3 things I expect from you, and you barter what matters to him and what matters to you, then suddenly doing things for him will not feel so difficult. It's when we create a relationship that's one way. That is very, very, it's not fair, it's not right. So I'd love for you to start to look at, okay, if I wear a sari every day, are you willing to do dash, dash and dash? Like, can you take me out for dinner on Wednesday? Can you make sure that your mother doesn't ask me to do this? Or can you make sure? And you can barter some things. Those kind of conversations build relationship, because there's a both the person who are in the relationship, their needs must get met. I'm not saying every need is reasonable, but yes, if we love the other person enough, we can give in. But we also need to be looked after, and if the other person is not willing to look after us, then we also don't feel like. So look at how you can communicate better with your husband and see if you can get him to do stuff that you'd like him to do in return of whatever it is that he wants. As far as disrespect is concerned, the person who has decided that he's going to feel disrespected, no matter how much respect you give him, they will conclude on that. So that's a never-ending game. I would suggest you better make it very clear to him that my desires are mine, your desires are yours. There's no way I'm trying to disrespect you, and the more you can communicate that, I don't know if it'll be of any use, but do try. Sasi Priya 31. How to overcome people who have unfaith in me and are supporting others in chaos, one-sided, and always saying you are not fit for this. How to handle these kind of people who shout and make us angry too. Sasi Priya, we will always have some people in this world who do not support us, who do not like our personality, whose chemistry is not a match with us, whose vibration and frequency just doesn't understand us. The value systems are different. And we can either spend the rest of our life trying to convince them that no, we are right also. Or we can just focus into our future, become so successful that our biggest revenge or sweetest revenge is us literally just, becoming so awesome that they have no choice but to start to go, oh my God, I never noticed that about you, or leave our energy, or start to speak for us, not because they believe so, because the whole world has started to believe so. So change. Just the only thing is, don't focus on these people. You continuously keep focusing on them, you'll keep on building this resentment, this bitterness that will start to come into you. Yeah. So just don't. I think sometimes whenever we are in a stuck situation, I love to ask myself this question, Pooja, what is this expectation that you are having from this person that is creating so much emotional turmoil in you? See, I can't change the other person. The only thing I can change is my thought, right? So in my thought, I asked myself, so what was the expectation? Maybe I was expecting this person to take me out for lunch. Maybe I was expecting this person to give me flowers. Maybe I was expecting this person to be nice to me. Maybe I was expecting this person to support me in the group friendships that we have. Maybe I was expecting this person. What is that expectation? And then I'll always ask myself, can I change this expectation? Am I willing to let go of this expectation? Am I willing to be disappointed in this situation? And you know what? Whenever in my life I've changed my expectation, suddenly my inner peace and calm comes right back at me. And for me, if the choice is between any single person, any single situation and my inner peace, I always want to choose my inner peace. And that's why people do tell me that, Pooja, you give too much benefit of doubt to other people. It's not benefit of doubt, it's my inner peace. So if, let's say someone was supposed to come to my house and they did not even inform me and did not even show up. I have a choice now, because it's an imaginary situation. I can either think, oh, they have insulted me and feel bad for myself, or I can think maybe something went wrong in their life because they are not the kind to not inform if they are not coming. Let me either find out or let me wait for them to respond. Both were imaginary situations. Why not choose the better? So I'm going to just say the same thing to you. There is somebody here who you are saying is making you angry or making you sad or making you feel bad. Sasi Priya, no one can make you without your permission. The real truth is you're choosing it. You're choosing it because there's an expectation that you have of them that they are just not able to meet. And how many more years are you going to allow them to control you like this? How many more years are they going to be deciding your mood? My suggestion is, don't give other people so much power. Take your remote control back. You should be the deciding person of how you should be feeling. And such people though definitely don't deserve your remote control. Again, I don't know if I've really answered your question, my sweetheart, but I want you to understand that we can either spend the rest of our life trying to fix others, or we can spend our life creating our future. And I can assure you, when we create our futures, other people change automatically. Epiphany of life. Ma'am, I'm so passionate about spirituality and personal development. Really want to become a coach, but my parents want me to pursue my masters from US land up in a land up in a 9-to-5 job and then pursue my passion. Epiphany, this is a problem of a lot of children these days, where parents really are keen that we go for the security of a job or security of education, while children these days are totally understanding that security no longer is security. Not taking risks is the biggest risk of life these days. So they may not understand, depending on how much you are willing to fight for whatever it is you want to do. That's how much. I have a 14-year-old girl right now who's enrolling into my course, and I can tell you her parents have spoken to me 2-3 times this week, and I'm so impressed with her and her parents for allowing her, like, they truly wanted her to finish her 10th grade before she gets into my courses, because my courses are really expensive and she will need to give a lot of her time, energy, effort. But that girl, insisted and stuck to her topic and begged her parents and really spoke to them, and today they've given in. They've said, Pooja, okay, maybe it's time, we don't want her fire to go off just because we delayed her passion. And I think these are similar conversations that you may need to have with your parents, that I'm okay with doing the masters, but you have to also sponsor, along with my masters, all of my passions, so that I can do them together and not wait for when I finish this, I will do that. So I think the kind of person you are and the kind of conversation you're willing to have with your parents will decide how fast you get to live everything that you love. Sajil, any amount of discussions have not helped. It's not the amount of discussions, but the way you discuss that will help you, my darling. And of course, if you've already given up, then I can tell you that discussions are of no use. Then it's better to just decide for yourself what is it and how is it that you want to show up in the relationship. Yeah. The introduction of Divapreneur helped in understanding, exploring and figuring out instead of my confusion. Thank you very much. So happy to read that, Megha. Wrinkle the partner. How to take out time for myself in a joint family with a very strict mother-in-law. In the night, I sleep in regret. She only wants the meals made by me. So Wrinkle, you know what? Honestly, we allow others to treat us the way we allow. Okay. So what do I mean when I say this? We are training other people through what we are allowing. So you are saying your mother-in-law is really strict, right? And I'm agreeing to that absolutely. But I want you to come up with different ways of how you can deal with her. So let's say you have a headache in the morning, or let's say you can't cook one day because you're sick. What's going to happen in your house? What's the worst case scenario? Will she have to keep a cook eventually? What will need to happen? A lot of times you need to explore. If you want to go to your parents' house, what will happen? So we start to believe that, we don't have any other option. The real truth is that we want to say no without disappointing them. The real truth is either she will win or you will win. Both of you can't win. If she's winning 80% of the time and you're winning 20% of the time, see if you can make it 70-30. See if you can make it 60-40. Start to at least try to say no. At least start to get into that mode. And if because of that some friction happens, handle it. Handle the friction, handle whatever needs to. And you know what? You can start to go like, okay, fine. I'll do lunch and dinner, but I need help in breakfast. Or I'll do this, but I can't do that. And start to set your own boundaries and start to set whatever consequences make sense to you. Because you keep giving in, they will keep taking you for granted. We think if we give in a lot and we really love, someday the other person will see how much we're giving and they'll want to give back. No, not true. If you keep giving in, she will keep increasing your work. Now that you know that, you need to see how to stand up for yourself. You know, I remember when I was very newly married, my mom-in-law used to love dressing me up. She didn't have a daughter, so she used to love making me wear all of the saris, the jewelry, with a lot of love. And I just didn't have the courage ever to say no to her, because she would do it with so much love. But I didn't want to wear those things. So many times I didn't want to wear those things. And then when my sister-in-laws came in, I saw their approach was so much more logical. Like, you know, they would say things like, oh mom, I don't know, I think I've left that jewelry in the locker. Now, I don't know if it was in the locker or not, but my mom-in-law say, oh, okay, no problem, wear it next time. And I would look at them and go, man, that was an option. Here I would be like, no, but I have to wear because she wants me to wear. I can't break her heart. I never knew no was an option. Of course, I got married at 18, then you are not smart enough or strong enough also. But I can tell you then later on, I started to use the same strategy where I would go, you know what, I don't know mom, I can't find the dupatta. And she would say, kuch nahi hota beta. And I would say, oh my God, that was always an option I never knew. So I'm going to ask you to do the same. I'm going to say, you know what, start to become smarter. Start to see, look for the loopholes. And you know what, we, especially us girls, we are brought up in the most obedient manner. Our obedience is always recognized and awarded or rewarded. So in our parents' house, a lot of times we've been so obedient that even when we get married, we just think that obedient is the only way. The real truth is that sometimes the other person doesn't even know what they're asking you for. They're only asking you for it because they know you'll do it, you know. And they're taking you for granted because they know they can take you for granted. Stand up for yourself once or twice and see, the whole energy will change. Just that we haven't been taught no to stand up. We don't feel like good people when we stand up for ourselves. So it's something you need to explore, my sweetheart. I really hope that you're able to create a space for yourself where it's not fair. It's not fair on you that anybody treats you in any other way or lesser way or makes you do something that you don't want to. So become smart is my suggestion to you. Priya Jain, how to get rid with the fear of the future? That means future में मेरे साथ कुछ बुरा तो नहीं होगा ना? Priya, when we feel fear about the future, we land up making that a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like we were expecting it, we were waiting for it, and then it happened. My suggestion to you is, darling, कि अगर कुछ बुरा होगा भी तो आप संभाल लोगे. Start to have that as your confidence. Not कि मेरे साथ फ्यूचर में कुछ बुरा नहीं होगा, because ऐसा कोई भी ह्यूमन बीइंग है जिसके साथ लाइफ में कुछ बुरा ना हुआ हो. सबकी लाइफ में कुछ ना कुछ बुरा तो हमेशा ही हुआ होता है ना. और वो जैसे ही बुरा होगा, you will say, मेरे को पता था, मुझे पता था मेरे साथ ऐसा होना है. Why should we even think like that? Instead, I want you to start to have this new thought process where I want you to go, अगर मेरे साथ कुछ बुरा होगा तो मुझे पता है मेरा भगवान बहुत ग्रेट है, वो उसको ठीक कर देगा. And when you start to build that kind of divine faith, divine surrender, you will start to see life will become so much more easier. I'm not saying मेरे साथ कुछ बुरा नहीं होता, but I know कि थोड़ी देर के बाद जब मैं अपना लेसन सीख जाती हूँ तो भगवान मेक श्योर कि वो मेरे को डबल ही रिवॉर्ड करते हैं. तो मुझे पता है हर एक बुरे के बाद डबल अच्छा होने वाला है. और अगर मैं उस इमेजिनेशन के साथ जाती हूँ, सारा कुछ इमेजिनेशन ही है ना, आप भी तो इमेजिन ही कर रहे हो, मैं भी इमेजिन ही कर रही हूँ. अगर मैं उस इमेजिनेशन के साथ जाती हूँ कि हर एक बुरे के बाद मेरे साथ डबल अच्छा होता है, सडनली वो बुरा इतना बुरा नहीं रहता और इतना डरावना नहीं रहता. या सो सी हाउ यू कैन वर्क विद इट. इट्स ऑल माइंड गेम्स, माई जान. What is the difference between spirituality and life coaching? So, Jayalakshmi, for me, spirituality is our connect with the divine, our connect with the spirit world, our connect with that realm. Okay, this can be extremely personal. Life coaching is more like someone helping you with a life manual. भाई relationships कैसे चलाने हैं, health कैसे चलाना है, business कैसे चलाना है, depending on what coach you have. You have a health coach, business coach, confidence coach, clarity coach, mindset coach. There are so many, parenting coach, marriage coach, divorce coach. इतने सारे आजकल branches निकल आए हैं coaching में. So depending on what coaching you take, that is what you will get helped in. It's one of the spheres, right? If you're talking about general life, then I think normally it's like a law of attraction. But spirituality is different. Spirituality is all about your personal connect with your God. Now, you can have a spiritual coach who can help you and guide you. If you look at Mahatria, Sister Shivani, Sadhguru, Sri Ravi Shankar, these are all spiritual coaches who have a better understanding of the spiritual realm and can invite you into understanding that realm better depending on who you resonate with. Life coaching, on the contrary, can sometimes be totally the opposite, which means it can be about earning money, it can be about career, it can be about so many various topics. But in all situations, it is someone who's mentoring you to a better life. So whether it's life coaching or spirituality, the one thing common in both of them is that you become a better version of yourself, which makes you live a better life. So that's the commonality. Dr. Shalini Dhish is saying, coaching mastery was an amazing experience. Pooja, thank you so much. It was so lovely to have you in the room, Shalini. Jaya Lakshmi, what is happiness according to you? Good question. So Jaya Lakshmi, I am a believer. A lot of people say happiness lives inside of us. A lot of people think happiness lives outside of us. Some people are seekers. They are looking for what will make them happy. Some people are looking from within and going, what will make them happy? I am a believer that happiness has to be generated. When I say generated means what? It's neither outside nor inside. You're like a nuclear plant. Does not have nuclear energy, but it generates nuclear energy when you switch it on. Same way, we don't have happiness inside us. It's not like if you will look within, you'll say, oh, ye baitha hai happiness. No. You're going to have to generate it. Now, how do you generate happiness? Every single person has a value system. And when we follow our value system, we start to move towards our happiness. When I say move towards our happiness, happiness starts to get generated within us. So if you can make a list of things that make you happy. For example, I love spending time with Puneet. It gives me happiness. I love spending time with my children. I love speaking to my tribe. I love building my business. I love traveling the world. I know that any of these will generate happiness within me. As and when I will do them, I will feel or experience a higher frequency, and to me that is happiness. So knowing yourself better will help you generate your happiness faster. So the more you get to know yourself, the more you can take action on the things that give you happiness. That way, you know what happens? A lot of times we look at momentary pleasure and think of that as happiness. For example, any kind of purchases. They give you happiness, but it's not the everlasting happiness. It's very momentary, which means it's just pleasure. So for me, pleasure is different. Happiness is different. Happiness to me is connected with your inner peace. When you do things that actually take you towards emotional maturity, it takes you towards your inner peace. You know, you connect. So a lot of times people feel like happiness comes from the ecstasy of living the materialistic world. That also gives you a lot of pleasure, but don't confuse it with the everlasting happiness. Now, what is everlasting happiness versus pleasure? Pleasure is, again, everything that gives you happiness from outside is your pleasure. Okay? But everything that is giving you pleasure, which is your choice of generation, that is what to me is happiness. So while I can feel very happy eating a yummy apple, but that was pleasure. Happiness for me will be in a situation which is like a tornado or a storm, me remaining calm. Happiness to me will be my children laughing and me laughing along with them and me noticing that moment as magical. So whatever happiness means for you, first you need to give, and I don't think it's the same for everybody. So I think it's very important to understand what generates happiness in your life and then do more of that. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's how I think of happiness, yeah? I'm sure there are many other definitions and some better and some worse, but see what works best for you. For me, this is the way whenever I feel deprived of happiness, I like to go back to looking at, I remember one of these sentences that I learned: I am responsible for my own happiness. And I used to say this 1,000 times right in the beginning of my career. I think on a daily basis, the one sentence I loved sharing was, I am responsible for my own happiness, which means I'm not going to look at Puneet for my happiness. I'm not going to look at my children for my happiness. I'm not going to look at nobody for my happiness. I am responsible for my own happiness. So if I enjoy spending time with my kids, I will make sure I create that environment and not keep nagging my children that, why don't you spend time with me? Why aren't you coming? I've been calling you. None of that. I want it, no, I will organize it. So those kind of things. So when you take responsibility of your happiness and you generate your happiness, you become the controller of your happiness. You become the controller of your destiny. Awesome. Greetings, my guardian angel. Greetings. Devika 29. How to handle a situation where you are bound to be with someone when you can't stand them from a workspace point of view, being on the same team with some negative people who bring down your energy. Devika, your choice of words, I would be very careful around, because you know what? Whatever we keep saying becomes our truth. And when that becomes our truth, we don't show up in our highest energy and we send out the same vibration. So let's say if I have to be with someone that I don't like, then I will try my best to have a different conversation within my body, heart, spirit and mind, so that I can make it a little more tolerable for my own self, So one of the things I do is I start to address them as my disguised angels, okay? That these are my life's disguised angel, which means God has sent them to teach me a lesson that I need to learn on earth. So the first thing I do is I move them from hate and enmity to disguised angel, which means their existence is serving me, not creating nonsense in my life, okay? So then I ask myself, what is that lesson that God must be trying to teach me through these people? What could it be? What kind of a lesson can I learn from such a person? Maybe they are trying to teach me patience. Maybe they are trying to teach me boundaries. Maybe God is trying to teach me how to stand up for myself. Maybe God is teaching me, I don't know what God is teaching you. What I know is there is some lesson there. And if you can figure out the lesson, you will dissolve the enmity or the hatred. So a lot of times for me, it's just figuring out, okay, this is what I don't like about this person. If I can just start to change my viewpoint and go, you know what, everyone's allowed to have their own viewpoint. Everyone is allowed to have their opinion. So what if this person is the opposite of me? Can I learn to respect the difference? Can I learn to respect who they are? And suddenly my body does not go into, I don't know what to call it, doesn't freeze when I'm speaking to this person, or does not emit negativity because this person's come in front of me. Suddenly I have a very different energy. And when I change my energy, the energy of the opposite person also changes. Maybe not the first time, maybe not the second time, but very soon you will start to magically see that the same person whom you were sending out so much negative vibe to, now that you have changed your inner world, your outer world will start to change. And their response, suddenly in a meeting, you will notice him or her saying something like, actually, I agree with her. I think that point is very valid. And you will be like, where the hell did that come from? We haven't agreed even on the same color of chair for this office. Where are we going to be discussing strategies and agreeing? But the real truth is that, you know what? When we change our perspective, I love to speak to the soul of the other person. I will imagine the soul of that person. I will imagine my soul speaking at the spirit level, that why are we both put together on earth? What could I be teaching you? What could you be teaching? Okay, today onwards, can I be a little more gentler towards you? Can you drop your guard? Can you stop being so overprotective about yourself? And when I have that spiritual realm conversation with their soul, somehow in the earth plane, my relationship starts to get better with them just by redoing my spiritual connection with them. So see how you can play this game, my darling. But going in with this level of fear, enmity, hatred, anger is not going to serve you. So you've got to change your inner world before you help change anyone else's. Okay? So God bless you, my Jan. Perav, Saubana, it's been a year since I'm following you on Instagram. It has changed my perspective towards life completely. Thank you, and I'm highly grateful. God bless you, sweetheart. SSDN Global. Hi Pooja, with this pandemic, my office got shipped down permanently and I've switched to my online classes. Now again, as the things are falling back, I barely have any students in my online class. You are so right, SSDN. The world shifted and now the world is shifting again. And the world is not going back to the old world it was, but it's no longer even continuing to go in the lockdown mode. Now there's a new hybrid version of the world that is getting created. So I would love for you to see how you can adapt. You know, there used to be a time when we used to speak about IQ, intelligence quotient. Then last 10 years, a lot of EQ conversations started to happen, which meant how emotionally are we able to handle life. Emotional quotient became more important than even your IQ. And now currently with the way world is going, there's something come up called AQ, which is how adaptable are you as a person? How fast can you adapt to change? And change is happening at rapid speed. You know, everything that used to be long, colleges used to be 3 years long, school used to be 12 years long. Earlier on, it was all about spending a lot of time prepping so that you could show up in the world finally and then take off. Today, that whole model is gone obsolete. The new model is everything short. Because the world is changing so fast, you do 1 3-month course now, it lasts you 2 years and then the whole world is changed again. So it's all about adaptability. So right now, lot of people were working from home, so therefore they came online, Zoom classes started to happen, everything started to run. The new model is going to be a combination of online classes and doing something offline with them. So see, how can you adapt? What is the need of your students? And if you can keep fulfilling the need of your students, whatever it is that they require, you will start to see your growth. Everyone is going through change right now, and those who are able to adapt will succeed, and those of us who will want to go to the old way of life or the lockdown way of life, both are going to start to face a lot of difficulty because the world is changing rapidly, and that is the new way. Can I tell you, I have a feeling that every year everything is going to change now. Every 2 years though, for sure everything is going to change now. So what used to be, you know, we used to call the generation gap as 10 years. So if you were born 10 years apart, you were born in 2 different worlds. And then they said 7 years, and then they said 5 years, and now they say 2 years. So if you and your brother or your sibling are 2 years apart, you are considered in 2 separate generations, which means his world and his life is different from your world and your life. Can you imagine what level at which we are going to have to adapt? So I'm just going to recommend one thing to you. Look at what your students need. What are they asking for? And look at creating a strategy that can help them. And I can assure you, the more you are able to fulfill the need of your clients, the more successful and richer and impactful and income is going to come. Neha, transformational coach. Hi Pooja, as a coach, I do feel frustrated at times. How can I cope up with that when I see my house people not changing and I'm empowering the world? It's an irony. Neha, my sweetheart. So if you've ever been in any of my courses, you're going to hear me say this 1,000 times. The last people you impact is your family. Okay, especially as a coach. Rather, I would say for your own family, don't even show up as a coach. Shah Rukh Khan is not the movie star for Gauri, Aryan and Suhana and the little one. He's not. He is a father. He is a husband. What he's not is not the famous movie star. Correct? So if he starts to say, oh, I get respect from the whole world and these 4 don't value my awesomeness. The world is wanting to kiss my feet and these people are not even, I'm coming back home and they're not even serving me. That's not how it works. So Neha, this expectation that you have that people around you should respect the fact that you're a coach or change because you now suddenly have more knowledge or wisdom than them, I would suggest leave it at the door. When I used to come back from my office, I used to remove my coaching hat, wear my mother and wife hat and come in. And I knew that as a mother and wife, I will only answer to that I'm expected out of. So, which means I'm not going to give any faltu advice to these people. The whole day I get paid to give advice, right? So then I don't want to come home and play that same role. Even I want to be different with them. So I will joke around. I will be a very different person with them because that's not who they want. Sometimes my son now tells me, Mom, can you wear your coaching hat? I need advice on this topic. But that is him asking me for it, not me. Unless he asks for it, I'm not going to give it to him. Not to my husband, not to my children, because that's not who I am for them. And if they never change or they land up having a different coach, that's totally okay. We have to let go. Just because somebody decided to become a doctor doesn't mean everyone in his family is going to be healthy, correct? Same way, just because you decided to be a coach, now everybody has to pay the price. They did not choose for you to be coach. You chose for yourself to be coach. So why are you having that expectation from them? Today, I want you to put it in the dustbin. I want you to say the last people who will change on this planet are going to be my family. The last people who are going to do anything is going to be my family, because they do not deserve this expectation of yours, and release them. I to always, when my sister-in-laws or anybody who comes to me for advice, I tell them, don't come to me. Go to someone else. Go to someone who's more objective. Don't come to me, because you know what? Our relationship is so much beyond this that you won't have the faith and surrender when I do give you the advice I have for you. So it's all very and some of them, one or two of them say, no, Pooja, we want you only. Then when they show me more as a coach, when they see me more as a coach and less as a sister-in-law, I'm willing to give them the advice. But otherwise, if I'm only sister-in-law with them, I should not even show up as a coach. I'm sure you've understood what I'm trying to say. I'm only re-emphasizing because this is such an important point, because I see so many coaches losing such great, deep relationships because they are not showing up as themselves, but as coaches, even in their inner circle or in their, where they should not be a coach. So see, you should only be a coach with people who are paying you, or people who are looking at you as a coach. With everyone else, show up as the person you are. Shah Rukh Khan always says this, that I have a Shah Rukh Khan persona and I have a Shah Rukh Khan personality, and they are two different. I'd love for you to create your coaching persona, and I would love for you to know Neha. Who is Neha behind the coach? What does she stand for? What does she value? How is she want to? And you must have both of these in your life, because all the time you cannot be your product. Sometimes you have to also be yourself. Yeah? Hi, Saranya. Oh, wow. It became 5:01 and I didn't even notice. That's fabulous. For all of you here, thank you so much. I can see there's so many more questions and I would have continued to go on without seeing the timing. Let me see if I have any of the results of last week's challenge or anything. If I do, I'll read those out. If I don't, then next time. Alright, yeah, Insta Live participants this week. Congratulations to Motivation with Parul, Chanchal Chiran, Namrata Vishwanath, Rita Nair, Anita Gupta, Pooja Ramesh Punjab, With Love Priyanka, Yoga Nidhi, Sakshi 11087, Ujwala Madhvi, Madhu Flair, April Melody Scribbles, Heal with Richa, Gauri, Tejal Joshi, Shweta Life Coach, Twinkle Club, Malik Ajay 0001, Kritika Setia, Diva Mind 369, Preeti Myself, Dr. Uma T, Image by Design Consultations, Hiring Mentor, Devika Wins, Healing Heart with Amrita, Syed Ziana, and the Khushbu_S. 28 of you participated in the challenge. Congratulations. So happy to see so many of you doing that. And winners for the week is the Khushbu.S_, Syed Ziana, and Dr. Uma T. Please expect my book. It will be coming to you soon. Somebody from my office will be in touch with you to get your addresses. And for those of you who participated, a massive congratulations on getting your name read out. Of course, you are as much a winner for me. Having said that, today's stories, we must make it fun. So here I am posing for you. Very quickly, take a picture and definitely make sure that you put it on the storyboard and give me your 1, 2 or 3 takeaway of what was it that you truly picked up today or learned from me today. Yeah? Awesome. Let me pose for you. Which angle do you like more? This face? This side? This side? Let's go this side. Let's try this side. Got it? Got it? Got it? It's so funny, to be looking at your own face. Absolutely. I hope you got some picture. A lot of you are putting pictures of me going in the middle of some sentence. Please don't do that. Put some nice pictures. Make the effort of clicking when I pose. Okay? Please, please, please. Okay? God bless you all. I am traveling for the next 2 weeks. So I am not certain about what my timings for my Insta Live will be, because I'm going to be all over Europe, and Europe ke liye the timings go here and there. I'm going to try my best to stick to this 4 to 5 for the next 2 weeks in whichever country I am. But I'm not making any promises. So if I show up in some odd time and do the Insta Live, please forgive me. Because if I'm on a flight, or if I'm on the airport, or if anything like that lands up happening, I haven't really planned it on the Wednesdays properly. So if I'm able to do my Insta Lives, fabulous. If not, I'll definitely come online and let you know. I'll even try to tune in from wherever I am to show you where I am, what's happening. Maybe do a 15 minutes of something, anything that's inspiring me, some kind of a nugget on a topic that I love. So expect a lot of unique things happening the next 2 weeks, where randomly I'm going to keep coming and keep giving you my inspirational thoughts. Okay, should we do that? Fabulous. So see you. I think I'll see you a lot more the next 2 weeks, rather, because I'm not working so much. As I'm on a holiday, I'm going to be enjoying myself and showing you wherever I am, and I think some of the sceneries will really be worth showing off to all of you. So bless you all. Thank you so much. Loads of love. Take care. Bye. Don't forget to share in your stories.